मैडम ने ज्वाइन कर लिया पारोमिता कार्यक्रम।
Shall I start then?
हाँ मैडम ने ज्वाइन किया।
Okay. Good morning.
अपना वीडियो भी ऑन कर लें। तो ये कार्यक्रम ऑनलाइन है तो इसका मतलब नहीं है कि ऑनलाइन ही बैठना है, वीडियो जरूर ऑन करें। ठीक है। मैडम नमस्कार गायत्री।
Good morning.
Good
morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Paromita. Good morning,
Good morning,
Madhu.
ma'am.
Good morning, Nikesh.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Asmita, the Women Development Cell, Mata Sundri College for Women, I extend a warm welcome to all of you for today's event. We are extremely thankful to Principal Ma'am, Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur, for extending her support to us and for taking time out from her busy schedule today. In today's period, one of the biggest challenges as a society that we are facing is how to maintain healthy relationship, how to have a balanced, healthy relationship. And we all know and we all believe that relationships are very, very important aspect of our lives. And in today's period, for a relationship to grow, healthy communication is very important. But in the hustle and bustle of life, this element is often found very missing. And also, relationships have both negative and positive impact on our well-being. And our today's session is centered around this topic. We are very thankful to Gayatri ma'am for taking time out from her schedule and actually doing this session with us. And now, not taking much of your time, I would now request Professor Madhuri Sukhija, convener, Women Development Cell, to kindly deliver the opening remarks. Ma'am, over to you. Madhuri ma'am.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you, Paramita. Good morning to all of you. First and foremost, I'm so delighted that Principal Ma'am has joined us. I hope you've unmuted her, Paramita.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. I think with all due respect to ma'am, she makes it a point to attend every seminar, workshop, online or offline, and shares her valuable inputs with us. In the same vein, I think we all acknowledge that her commitments towards this college and her bold initiatives that she has taken are simply phenomenal. We thank you, ma'am, for joining us. In the same vein, I would also like to welcome our resource person for today's counseling session, Dr. Gayatri Arun Kumar, Associate Professor at IP College, Delhi University. So happy, ma'am, that you have come. Before I formally introduce the speaker to you, I can see so many participants, and I would like to say that welcome on behalf of WDC. I welcome all the participants who've cut across departments and all the students also who've joined in from various disciplines. We welcome all of you wholeheartedly, and I'm sure it's going to be worth the session. The theme, as we all know, is navigating relationships in the 21st century, empowering the youth. I think the promise of India is old. It lies in its historical greatness, its centuries-old civilization, its fast-paced economy, but the greatest strength of India lies in its youth today. India is a potential demographic dividend. Roughly half of its 1.38 billion population lies below the age of 26. Soon, India will have the youngest workforce in the world with a median age of 28. For China, the figure stands at 37, for the United States at 45. And these, believe you me, are 2022 statistics. A lot has been done by the government in the field of education, research, skill management, employment for the youth. But where lies the dichotomy? Why the puzzle? One of the biggest banes of modern life is reducing the value of a human being to a number, to a salary, to a consumer. And I think the struggle, so to speak, is multi-layered. One of the most sensitive areas of concern is how the youth are shaping up today, how they are navigating relationships, be it at home, be it outside the home, be it at educational institutions, be it at workplace. How do you expect them to deal with broken homes or with parents racing against time? After all, it is the age of rage. But what I would like to say is that these young minds are also dealing with a polarized society like ours. Sometimes there are issues of interfaith. Sometimes there are issues related to gender identity, sexual orientation. By far, social media, we all know, is a very powerful tool. It has become the biggest anchors of the youth today. And I really don't blame them for that. Sometimes what our near and dear ones cannot do or cannot understand, it is a social media that offers that support system and gives them a sense of identity and dignity. But then we need to ask ourselves, does instant gratification on the media, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, substitute for a physical hug? Does the social media impede personal relationships? Can the social media substitute for real life social interactions? Where do you think these young friends can draw the line between social media and what we as elders expect of them? If I can make my life look like fun, people would think I'm pretty cool. That's the way youngsters today want to project themselves. But then, does the buck stop here? Do we need to counsel them here? Closely related are issues of body shaming and how they come in the way of forming healthy relationships. Therefore, there are a whole lot of issues. How can our young friends maintain and sustain healthy relationships in this period of transition to adulthood? I'm sure Dr. Gayatri Arun Kumar is going to take us through all these issues. But before that, I'm so delighted, so happy that Principal Ma'am has joined, and we all are eager to hear her valuable inputs. Please, Ma'am, enlighten us. Over to you, Ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Madhuri. And I congratulate the department for organizing a talk on a very, very pertinent topic, because this issue which we are discussing today, or which we are going to discuss today, is really what is very important, and it is being faced by the youth. Of course, as Professor Madhuri has explained, that the number of youth in India can be our strength, provided they are channelized. Their energies have to be channelized. So it is very important that we harness the youth, channelize their energies. Education, of course, plays an important role, but along with it, it is also very important to control their emotional quotient. So this emotional quotient, which is creating a lot of problems in the youth, that has to be channelized, that has to be seen, and that is, I think, our this emotions like insecurity, anger, violence, these are very much related to our urban youth. So this youthful population is having restless nights also. There is a lot of medications they are undergoing. Along with it, they are having this kind of problem of depression and health issues, and hostile kind of a atmosphere they are facing, or they are even emitting out this kind of relationship. So it is very important that we control these emotions, we understand them, because as the youth is growing up, there is a strong urge to establish their identity, and that identity which is created through experiences. Those experiences, I think we have to understand what kind of relationship choices they are making, what kind of decision making they are doing. So all these, the elder population has to understand and find a midway because I'm sure and understand that if we tell something to the youth today, probably they might not realize the gravity of the problem today, but tomorrow they are going to realize that this was the problem which was being discussed by my elders, and they will show the same kind of behavior. So for nation building, this kind of growth of children and students and the youth is very important. So we know that otherwise there will be a breakdown, and in the emotional background, I'm speaking critically, because these are the critical factors which are going to change the quality of our population. We have seen that all through the world where the population is qualitative and number is not important, but the qualitative population makes a good nation. So that we have quantity also, we have a large number, but channelizing them in the right direction can do marvels to the nation. And so development planning should actually focus on youth and for their better future also, and understand that future generations are an integral part of today. And so it is very essential to train our youths, and involving them in different sections is essential. We have to realize that what they are capable of, and then give them a best kind of opportunity so that they can channelize their personality also, and go in the right direction. So with these words, I welcome our guest for today. She has taken out time, and I'm very thankful to Dr. Gayatri that she has joined us. And of course, Dr. Savita, Dr. Lokesh, and Professor Madhuri, and all who are a part and parcel of this event, especially the students who have joined us. I can see Dr. Harinder Sandhu, Paramita Datta, and many others. So all you have put in a lot of efforts for this event, and it's a very good start of this Saturday holiday, of course. But if we are having positive talk, then this positive talks will stay in the youth, and that is our objective at Mata Sundri College. We may strive very hard that we give a right direction to the students along with what we are giving in academics. So with this words, I once again welcome all, and I am sure that you will have some takeaways with the talk of Dr. Gayatri, and that those takeaways will be the stepping stone for your character building. And so thank you all. Thank you very much.
Paramita.
Paramita, you can take over, or the Professor Madhuri.
Yeah, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There was a technical glitch, so sorry for the delay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think you have said all that was to say, and you've covered so many aspects, so many perspectives. You've given us food for thought for the audience, and I'm sure Professor Gayatri also has, kind of picked up a lot of perspectives from what you had to say. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I'm also happy that the IQAC team has joined us. It's always a pleasure to have them over. Before I delve further into the program, I would like to welcome our speaker for the day, Dr. Gayatri. Now, Dr. Gayatri is an associate professor at IP College, Delhi University. And other than that, she has her specialization in social psychology. I might as well tell you that she's well versed in the field of personality psychology, positive psychology, health psychology. So she has a lot of feathers in her cap. She's a sought after teacher in the Department of Psychology. She has a very impressive resume and has contributed in UGC E-Pathshala with a unit of moral psychology of criminal behavior. Besides, she has also contributed to curriculum development for CBCS, LOCF, and the more recent NEP syllabus. She has been a resource spokesperson at several institutes, the more recent one being NGP Science College, Coimbatore. In fact, our college had the pleasure of inviting Dr. Gayatri as a chairperson to one of our sessions at a national conference in 2016 on perspectives of successful aging. We are happy that she's back with us. And now I'm going to request ma'am to take us through to all of the plethora of issues that have been a precursor that perhaps I have put across in some measure, Principal Ma'am has put across in some measure. The audience is eager to hear you, and I'm quite sure that this session is going to be provocative, it's going to be interactive. Over to you, Dr. Gayatri. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Just a thumbs up would do. Am I audible? Is the
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes.
okay. So good morning. I am. It's wonderful to be invited to Mata Sundri. I have fond memories of coming to this college. I have some very dear friends there too, and it's a joy for me to be amongst all of you today. A joy and a privilege. And I thank the principal. I thank the WTC conveners and the IQAC convener for giving me the time and the space to come and talk about something which is I'm really passionate about. This is something which our students, the youth of today, the young of today, they take to it like fish to water, and we have hours that happen in the department, in our Department of Psychology, as all the other psychology teachers would also vouch for. I'm so happy to be sharing it with you all in the WTC. And so before I begin, I would request all the students here to please be active on the chat box, because I'm going to be asking you some things. I'm going to be asking you to share little things along the way, nothing too intimate, nothing too confidential, but something just to sort of get us going together. So on that note, I'll just begin. So there is the background and the base for which I have to, move on has been set very well already for me. It's been a very easy task that I begin with right now. And so I'll just plunge in directly, like, my base is social psychology. And one of the most important things that you learn when you did social sciences was that man is a social animal, right? And I just go a little further and I say that all of us, psychology literature, the empirical work has shown that we all have this need to belong. This is a drive which propels us to affiliate, to commit to people, to connect to people, to reject other people, to find ways, especially with social medias, how this entire need to belong is manifested is very, very interesting. And so once again, I get back. So, we've all heard about things of this came up in the introductory talk. There is this, young versus old, the generation gap which comes in. So there is, what the young people feel needing to belong is going to be different from what, your parents or your grandparents would think about. And, there is this whole impact, this, it's like this whole juggernaut which is rolling in our lives. Which is the whole influence of social media. It's there in every aspect of our lives, in our career, in our recreation, in our relationship, in finances, in our shopping preferences, each and everything we do, there is so much of social media that's coming into our lives. And so there's the first question of the day. Now is, when you all are, how many of you are Instagram, or what are the social media that you people are on? Can I have it in the chat box, please? I know of Instagram, I know Facebook, I know Tumblr, I know Tinder, I know Twitter. So what are you guys on? Anything else? So what are the various kinds of social media that you guys are on? Can you please put it in the chat box? Snapchat. Thanks, Nirmala. What else? Can we have more answers, please? It's going to be no fun otherwise. It's just me droning on like a lecture, which is ever so boring. Instagram, okay. Facebook, Insta, yes. Okay, Amino. So now, when you see so many people having so much of fun there, and you're there sitting and preparing for your exams, or sitting and attending college, how does it feel? So there's Insta, there's Amino, there's Facebook, Insta, there's WhatsApp, Snapchat, everything, Telegram. It's all rolling in. Great. So how does it feel when you don't have these exciting videos? When you watch people having such a great time in life? They're doing everything. How does it feel? A psychologist is going to ask you, how is it going to feel? That's something very important to know. How does it feel when you see these videos all around? Want to have that sometimes? Yeah. Okay, anything else? We wish you could be there. Jealous, very honest, very candid. Okay, next. We are bored, we have a life is tedious. I want to experience those things. Yeah, true. So there is this word all of you know about, FOMO, fear of missing out on things. Absolutely. So as you watch all this, there is FOMO happening, fear of missing out all these things. I want to experience everything. There is a sense of dissonance. So I come back to the roots and I'm going to tell you what is this need for belongingness that we have. So we have, so where is this the benefit? So when you belong to people, when you belong to friends, when you have family, what happens to you? So the benefits of, having someone around in your life, okay, whether it's virtual or physical around you, coming back to good old psychology, the research says that the need to belong, it has a lot of benefits. One is, we get a lot of self-confidence that, we can share our personal values, our ideas, our likes, our pet peeves with another person unconditionally. So that confidence comes that, there are friends around for you to share. And there is this entire bit of, as you have friends, your sense of self-worth, the way you value yourself, your self-esteem also will be higher because, you're accepted by so many people, so many likes. Maybe I'm so interesting, but I'm coming back to real life. There's so many people around you who like you so much, gives you a sense of self-esteem, sort of gives you a sense of self-worth. And the way others evaluate you also influences the mirror that you show to yourself. Okay. So our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and of course, every aspect of our life, whether it's our health, our general well-being, how satisfied we are with life, how happy with everything, really often boils down to this need to belong, which is absolutely driving each and every one of us. Yeah, pet peeve, something that a person finds particularly annoying, and it's very easy to share it with someone who is really, really close, to you. And so we are more expressive, we are happier, we are healthier, we are more productive, and we are flourishing much better because we have a stable network of people around us. Now, two things that happens when you have a good network, a stable social network around you. One is, of course, it just keeps your self-worth, self-esteem going very high. And you need, this around you. Also, the other part is, is very interesting, is that having this bit of people around you gives this sense of the stability around us, gives you a very nice safety net that we need around us. So at this point, I'm just going to show you something to underscore the fact about how friends are so very, very important to us. So please allow me to share something, and just give me a minute. I think all of you would probably know this. Is it visible? Okay. Can you hear it? Sorry, I ran out of, I had to connect to the hotspot. I'm sorry. I again apologize. So coming back to Har Ek Friend Zaruri Hota Hai. I hope some of you are just looking at the lyrics along the way. I mean, that was the whole thing here, that every point of our life, we need, that 4 a.m. friend, that gossip friend, that any friend that you have. And this is something, this underscores that whole need for belongingness. At the same time, there is this entire bit, relationships are so important in our lives that, we are reluctant to end any relationships. Often, for example, I'm just coming to the sad part of it, so people just, for example, when there is what is a common breakup line, if you can put that on the chat box. So what is the common breakup line when friends separate? What is a common breakup line? Would someone put that on the chat box? What is often a common breakup line? Can you think of what people say when they say bye, when they break up? What usually happens? Okay, not working between us, you deserve better. It's not working anymore. I'll just drop in what I want to say, and let's just be friends. It's not working anymore. Let's just be friends. Have you heard of that? So what does this underscore? Just let's be friends. We are reluctant. This need to belong is so intense, so universal, so overpowering that even at the thought of, even though you know that this relationship is not going to work out, and this we want to avoid that social reality of saying goodbye. We want to, avoid that social reality that a bond is being lost. So we cover it up and say, let's just be friends. So it's very hard to accept there are going to be no more people in your life. So we really, each one of us, work really hard and work really long from childhood to now, to secure, to accept people, to be accepted by others, very, 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 all through our lives. Now, next thing I'm going to ask some of you is how many of you are still in contact with your bachpan ke dost? Those the friends that you were both of you had the same broken tooth together at the same time, or the friends that you've had ever since you were bachas. How many of you are still in touch? Just raise your hands, raise your hands up. Great, Shruti. Anyone else? That's just one Shruti, not me, says Shreya. Oh, a lot of participants. Okay, great. Any more? Raise your hands. How many of you still in touch with your childhood buddies? Lovely. And so a whole lot of people still are in touch with their childhood buddies. And so that's really nice. You're lucky. And what is it that keeps you with your friends? And the ones who are not in touch with their buddies, any reason why? Any reason why you're not in touch with your school, your bachpan ke dost? Why aren't you in touch? Why did you drift away? Distance, shifted a couple of places. Different friends group eventually. These are all very interesting. Communication, could you write more? Difference of interest, maybe that's what communication is. Anything else? Different interests, communication, different friends, shifted places. So now very often I just, so this is good old psychology, social psychology research. We often become friends with people. They're coming to the first one of distance because of proximity. Someone travels, by the same route to the bus stop with you. Someone's always there, going to the same tuition classes as you. Someone's always there in the seesaw with you or the jhula next to you each time that you are playing with. Sheer proximity often gets people together. Of course, later on, all this comes in, you have different, interests. As you grow, you have differing interests. Someone loves football and someone just hates cricket. You just end up having, someone loves makeup and somebody just doesn't want to dress up at all. It could be anything. So you have differing interests as you evolve as people. And so this is another, so we have friends who are similar to us often we start becoming friends with people that who are in the same proximity, within who are proximate to us. And so this is similarity of interest. Often similarity of interest, attitudes, values often are very, very similar. Both of you, or all of you, are struggling with the same maths class or the physics class or whatever that is that you don't wish to do. And here is at some point just sharing the same space together, sharing the same challenges together keeps you friends. Then over a period of time, you only look, when you come into college, you're looking at friends who are similar. So similarity is very important when you're having a lot of relationships around you. People are interested in the same kind of things around you. And of course, also complementary. Very often in relationships, in any interpersonal romantic relationship, it's complementarity which becomes very important. Opposites attract. Have you heard of that? Yeah, you heard of opposite attracts? Ask us married people. We'll always tell you that we're married to a partner who's so opposite to us. So someone, I would like to go out, not cook on Sundays at all. And probably my husband wants ghar ka khana the whole day on Sundays. Somebody's husband might just want to sit and, go watch cricket the whole day. And the other person says, let's just go mall hopping. This is old married couples talking. But then you're going to be starting new relationships. Often you'll be attracted to people who are very opposite to your interests or who are not similar to you. That's when complementarity of interest comes in. So there is something in both of you which complements what happens. Someone is poor at decisions. The other partner will be very quick with decision making. Someone is very liberal with faults and who's very flexible. You are very, very particular about what has to be done. You have very strong ways of being inflexible. So there is this whole element. So when you go into interpersonal romantic relationships, often you move out of just proximity or similarity. You often move into the area of complementariness. So you have to now learn to identify who are you and what are your skills. And so that's when navigating for an educated young woman of the day who's going to be there running the world 10 years down the line. There's so much that's going to, immense possibilities that are unfolding before all of you. You need to know who you are and you need to know where you are doing, what you're doing in your relationships. So this is, so this is that's something that happens very, very often. So now I'm coming into another element in our in our lives. Okay, so I'm just going to share one more thing. I just hope for heaven's sake nothing happens to my line. I'm petrified. Just a minute. I'm trying to share something to you and come to the next point which I wish to explore with all of you. Are you able to see this? Is everyone able to see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. So here we are going through, how we are socialized often is what happens is to a lot of ways where we learn. I hope this is visible. I think my screen is, can you see this? Now, we're moving into a new phase in life. In a few years down the line, some of you will be looking for your partners. And this is when this entire set of socialization that's going to come and hit you, the culture that you're living is going to come in, going to influence the kind of expectations that you have of one another. And, so socialization is as a social psychologist, is a process by which, you learn the values, the norms, the attitudes of, the skills of the group that you belong. That's very important for you to function in interpersonal relationships. And, the culture that we live in often gives us, certain a perimeter or areas on which that you have certain expectations for people to. So, your culture is the kind of language, the shared language, the knowledge, the art. And I'm also saying that this is the customs and the beliefs that you have are often giving you certain expectations of one another, especially in interpersonal relationships. So the way you've been socialized, the way you've picked up certain norms and ways and skills of behaving with other people in your life, especially with the opposite sex, as well as what the culture, what has been transmitted for generations. How I Met Your Mother. How many of you have seen How You Met Your Mother? How many of you have seen the serial there? Which is a search for a guy. So Harleen, what was happening in How I Met Your Mother, the TV series? How do they find romantic partners? in the US culture? Anyone? Why, Harleen? Anyone can say what happened? How do people, how are they hunting for partners there? How did, yeah, please put it in. Going to bars. He was searching for the one. Of course, even Kajol was searching for the one in when Shah Rukh Khan landed. So there is, everyone is searching for the one in their life. So the guy or the girl. So the interesting part the point I want to reiterate, guy or girl, irrespective of gender, after a certain point, you are searching for the one in your life. Okay. And we are governed by a lot of expectations, the ones that we've learned from the society around us and the ones our culture is giving us. So, of course, your culture is telling you if your roti is not round, you're never going to be married. Haven't you heard it at some point? What would you know if you don't know kitchen skills, for heaven's sake? You can't make a round roti. Kya hoga? How will you feed? What will you do? How will you raise a family? Okay. And in comparison, what would be happening perhaps right now? This whole thing about, if I pronounce you man and wife, says the priest to the bride and the groom. And in a Western culture, they're quickly updating themselves on their status, on their social media status. Would you be doing that here? What do you think is going to happen at the time of your fairas? Just imagine anyone's fairas. Why yours? Any cousin, when two people were getting married, did they have time to update their social media status? Have you seen? You people are the new ones. Tell me, was there time for them to update social media status immediately? Yes or no? Or have you seen anyone? No. What's happening at that time? When the whole world and the priest in charge or the pandit in charge or anyone has declared you man and wife, they won't even have time to eat. Yes. What else? What else happens at that time? Can you update on social media then? That's my query. They won't have time to eat, someone says. What else happens then? Anyone else? Come on. Rituals are happening, endless rituals. Okay, everybody is busy. The couple is particularly busy in rituals. They can't even raise their head after a point. They have lots of relatives surrounding them, many rituals taking place. Exactly the point I'm trying to make. We live in a collectivistic culture where family and interdependent relationships are very important. We are because our families are around us. We are because our families believe these rituals are important for us. We have found the one, but it will be only when the families approve and the rituals happen around us. So there is a fundamental difference in the Western individualistic cultures and the collectivistic cultures that we live in. So, there is this whole bit of, I'm sure many of you have heard this. I met your mother or I met your father at our wedding. That's the first time we chatted with each other. I'm sure you heard the statement. Anybody's heard this dialogue? Who was it from? Dadi, Nani, Bua, who told you this? I met your mother, I met her on our wedding. That's the first time that happened. And you barely had time to talk to each other either at that time. Who else has, where have you heard this state dialogue from? I just want people, have you heard this, that I met your mother at our wedding? Dadi said it. Who else? Who else has heard it? Only Nirmala's Dadi said it. Nobody else's Dadi's ever said anything like this. Is that true? Have you ever heard this in your family? Grandmother, once again. Okay. What happened then? So this is once again expectations. You go to shadis to have food, okay? What are the starters like? Often we discuss weddings, not on how, okay, the couple is looking, people are, but it all boils down to, achhi shadi thi because the khana was so bad or the khana was so good. Now the expectations that surround weddings or two couples coming together is now boiling down to khana. See, the expectations are so very, very, very different in Indian culture. So I come back to how there is a difference in the kind of relationships that will flourish in an individualistic culture where independence, where individual autonomy is so important. My life, my rules, my way, my highway, that's very often what's happening, say perhaps in the Western world and the Western marriages. While in an Indian culture, घर की इज्जत रख ले, be careful, your naak nahi katni chahiye kinds, be very careful, this is, have to keep the family honor going. Have you heard statements of, izzat and family honor happening around you? Especially when it comes for girls? Have you heard stories? What are the expectations of you? Is family responsibility, family honor being ever shared with you? Have you heard it in the recent times? Have you heard every day lunch, dinner conversations? What else? When did you last hear this? When did, okay, Jasleen, number of times. I just want one time when you heard it, one example when you heard it. That family honor is important. Izzat is so important. One example, please. Number of times, yes. When I came out to your family, what else? That's a brave person. When talking about boyfriends, okay, there you go, two big examples there. So when it comes to relationships, the first expectation or the first thing that is that gate which comes to shut down a lot of conversation, a lot of interaction, a lot of communication is this family honor, family izzat. This is because we belong to a collectivistic culture where interdependence is so very, very important. And a lot of our goals and our choices in life reflect back upon our family. Okay, the choices so this is the whole interdependence of the individual with the larger group around them. This happens in all, it's Korean dramas. How many of you watch Korean dramas? Every Korean drama, we love it, we Indians. Isn't it happening in K-dramas? Any K-drama in here? So there's a Masi who want to elope, who's talking about some distant relative, okay, who eloped to the boyfriend, and because of he was a different religion. So Izzat got on top. So I'm coming back to Asian countries which are collectivistic. So there is Korea, there is Japan, there is China, there is India, there is Pakistan, there is all our neighborhood countries. Okay. Now K-dramas. Have you seen this family honor happening with relationships in K-dramas? Anyone can talk about it, or anyone has watched K-dramas? Nobody watches Korean dramas here? I'm sure some of you do. Yes? Anyone else? So did that concept of family coming in? I don't know much about Turkish dramas. I'd give up. I just know K-dramas. And I know this whole concept of family being important when the choice of the partner comes in, family honor, family traditions, these becomes very, very important. The boys over flowers because girls come from, okay. So now you're getting the hang of what I'm trying to say. So here, all of us Asian countries belong to this collectivistic culture where we are interdependent, and very often the important choices that you make, choice of your career, and especially when it comes to marriage or any interpersonal commitment that you want to make, is so very contingent upon what the culture wants, what the group thinks about, what will others say. I'm sure you heard of this, log kya kahenge? When was the last time you heard of log kya kahenge? That just underscores the importance of how interdependent we are on what log kya kahenge goes on. Okay, Pakistani, exactly. We're all Asian countries where Pakistan or Korea or all of us, China, Japan, Thailand, you name these Asian countries, we all belong to this collectivistic culture. So what happened the last time you tried to talk about something? Log kya kahenge? What happened? What was the whole context? The kind of clothes that you wear, the gender, gender. I'm just coming to the next point here. Okay, so very often with clothes, often with living relationships, especially when you wear something revealing, how you cross your legs, how you probably sit, kaise baithe ho is the most common thing. And once again, a lot of our behaviors now is governed by log kya kahenge, cultural expectations about us. And that colors our relationships that we're going to engage. How we're going to navigate our relationships. You people have to become very aware of the social context that you're in. It's all very nice to watch Friends, Barney and Friends, How I Met Your Mother, etc., etc. But then you're really governed. The reality here is, even talking with boys is, look kya kahenge. Okay, so there is a cultural, a parameter, a little constraint that you're operating about. Remember that. So one is there is this natural need to belong, to affiliate, to connect with someone, which is absolutely universal. It's across every species, animal or not. Human, animal, every species you need to belong. Because unless you belong to the others, you'll not get resources and skills to survive in a hostile environment. Go back to our, hunter-gatherers, forefathers. They had to connect with each other, to belong to one another, to be able to thrive and flourish in very, very difficult terrains and environments. So need to belong is very universal, yet it is governed by the socialization that we have, how each one of us is trained, how we pick up norms and rules and skills for behaving, especially with boys, especially with the opposite sex, especially when we have to make choices of our partners. Okay, see how, so there is this whole, so this is important. And then of course, I'm also telling you that, reiterating that our culture gives us certain perimeters or certain ways of in which we operate, which is so very, very unique to us. So you have to be very aware of the cultural inputs that you have. So now I'm coming back to the other point where what happens very often is, culture gives you this way that you interpret a lot of your relationships, to a boy and girl just hanging together a couple of times a week, instantly, you can be labeled as a boyfriend, girlfriend. You might not be boyfriend. Two girls hanging together might be labeled to be, oh, waise hai kya? Two boys labeled together, they could be labeled something like that. You get, so how culture can interpret you very, very, in a very, very different kind of lens. And society around also is interpreting you in a very different way. So now I'm coming into this whole, I'm throwing new jargon. Am I going too fast? I often, when I get into the flow, I talk a little fast. So let me know if I should go a little slow, please. What are sugar daddies, by the way? I just want to know, what are sugar daddies? What do you make of them, Shreya? Interesting.
Ma'am, sugar daddies are when a younger girl and an older man are seen together, and then some people interpret the person interpret the older man as their sugar daddy, who is financing the girl, and the relationship is on a monetary basis.
Okay, so there is some kind of labeling that's already happening, and I just want to know what your interpretation was. I'm coming back to some good old, what I teach, and there is something. So when you're dealing with interpersonal relationships, you often hit. So you become friends because of proximity, because of similarity, because of complementary of interest. You also are there when you're navigating that relationship, when you're interacting. You also hit a lot of stereotypes. I'm going to throw in words of stereotypes, prejudice, which is coming in. So stereotypes are those generalized beliefs that you have about a particular group or a particular set of people, or you'll have, or you have, these are just expectations that you have. So, so if your boyfriend is jamming with the band, what are the stereotypical reactions that will happen? Yes, with marginalized too. So if you identify with the marginalized community, what are the kind of stereotypes that you're having? So I am the neighborhood auntie who said, "Acha, ye band wale ke saath ghum rahi hai." So what is the kind of stereotype I'm throwing up? उसके लंबे लंबे बाल होते हैं, वो पता नहीं क्या पहनता है. What is it? What happens if you are romantically connected with someone who's not from your community? What do you think stereotypes are coming up? Can you just throw some stereotypes at you? Okay, let's look at something much closer home. Going back to them, to roti nahi bana sakti, the gender stereotype happening. How important is for a man to make round gold rotis? In stereotypes, is it mandatory about them? Because their rotis are not gold actually. What about the guys, if their rotis are not round, if they're shapes of every country that you belong to in the globe? What happens? It's not for men. So what are the other gender stereotypes that you hit? What are the other gender stereotypes? What is a safe profession for women, for example? Men don't cry, girls can cry. Okay, cooking is a woman's task. Girls must be polite. Better drivers, flight attendant, all the household work. So here, there is, now we're coming into stereotypes. One very, very important, the whole set of attitudes and behaviors. So very often you come into relationships, you also hit a lot of stereotypes, girls can be satisfied, but men need to run the house. Okay, they need money more, men are stronger, a woman is a homemaker, a lot of things happening. So there is entire set of stereotypes. And one of the other very common stereotypes, yes, because the timings, you can earn money and have chutti because the timings, teaching is the best of it. Nursing, teaching, any caregiving option, very often occupations are, very, very conducive to women is one of the stereotypes. And another thing along the way is, in the relationships, often when you see you often hit a dead point where a lot of, you have to tackle a lot of stereotypes happening. So at this point, once again, I'm going to share something to you about how gender stereotypes are being broken by women of today. Of course, so many of them. And I'm just sharing one recent stereotype that was broken with you. And you can tell me what you think about it. Can you see this? So recently,
Yes.
I think in March, May. There's this girl, Nikhat Zareen, who won the world gold at the World Boxing Championship. Have you heard of this recently? And here she had to face a lot of gender stereotypes. I'm just giving you an example of career choices and how people, so she comes from, once again, a minority community, and she's entering a sport where not too many women are there. She's coming into boxing. And of course, there's so much you can read about her. So Nikhat Zareen actually is someone who has, broken that whole gender stereotype and has gone through a long road for that. So once again, navigating that long road becomes very often. Each one of us here can break those stereotypes, those gender stereotypes, with relationships, with our professions. But remember, you have a very, very long path ahead of you to navigate. And that's what we're here to talk about. Next, of course, I'm also coming into concepts of, conformity and obedience. You are a girl, okay? So you have to conform. You have to sort of, adjust kar lo. Doesn't matter. Bhai wants to he needs the laptop more than you. You can function with your phone, adjust kar lo. Okay? And so this whole point of conformity becomes very important. You adjust your opinions, you adjust your choices, and the choice of your partner and the way you deal with it. Adjust kar lo is compliance, which a lot of women have to go through. And of course, there is obedience. You have to be obedient. What is obedience? A soldier listening to the officer, he complies to authority. The student in class, standing up to attention when the teacher calls out his name. So these are all compliance to authority. So often women are conforming, are compliance, especially with relationships. Now, I'm just showing you the bird's eye view of what's happening in many relationships. Now, when you're looking at so many relationships, now I come to the most important, the juggernaut in our lives, and that's social media. There is so much that's happening. It's such a thriving. You can't stay without it. So quickly, so what on an estimate? How many hours do you spend on social media? How important media is in our relationships is what I'm going to come to next. How many hours do most of you spend on social media? 4 hours, 5 hours. Jasleen, Shreya, very active. Can I have the others coming in too, please? 4 hours, 3 hours. Great. 3 to 4. Okay, something, I was just reading this latest research which was published in this in preparation for this in the last few months, and they talked about how 70% of the people spend about 5 hours, the people who have access to resources. It's a full-time, the influencers, of course, the influencers will definitely be making money too alongside. So it's a full-time career option. So 5 hours is coming to be about for 70% of the young in our country today. So almost 70% are almost spending 5 hours. 2.4 hours a day though is mandatory. Across the board, 2.4 hours every young person is spending. That's huge amounts of time. So you're awake for about what? 17 to 18 hours, and you've already put in about 2 hours mandatory, everyone, and the ones who go a little extra are putting in 4 hours. That's humongous amount of hours on a daily basis that you are putting on social media. And what's worrying is, for example, what's something that I found very interesting was, say the young age bracket, someone who's younger than you, someone who's say 8 to 12 years old. And in the 8 to 12 years old today in our country, 52% of them are sitting on social media within school hours. So you can see how much this 52% between 8 to 12 years of age in our country today within school hours is hanging around on social media, big time. So here they are really, they don't want to miss out on anything. They're bored. They want to connect with people. They want to be accepted by everybody else. They want to be there with it, be cool. And almost, so there is such a humongous, so you're all 20 plus, and I'm talking about 8 to 12 year olds. And latest research says 52% of them are on social media along school hours. I mean, that's even more shocking. So what happens when you're on social media? You often overshare or put so many things which are so interesting about you, and you post very interesting things. You try to meet online. There's so much of gaming that's happening at that particular age. Of course, so very often the scary parts. Let's come to the scary part. A lot of people don't switch off their GPS or their location when they're on social media. So somebody who's very intelligent can very easily track you along the way. So that's one of the evils that's lurking, that's happening around there. And of course, this whole concept, you're driven by need to belong, social acceptance. So many likes have to come in. So many likes. Please like, share, subscribe if you like this particular video. Please like. Haven't you seen this again and again? We need to be liked. It's so very, very important. I feel I can survive better if more people like me. I can live better. So I can flourish better. So what happens is, under social pressure, there is a lot of things that are happening. So fake profiles are being created. People are faking so many posts. They're faking so many things about themselves. They're posting so many fake things. There's so much of social comparison. We call it social comparison, justly. There's forever, all the time you go back, oh, so-and-so went for this party, so-and-so wore those clothes, so-and-so met so many people, so-and-so would dance like this, so-and-so went on this location, so-and-so went for, met such a great guy or girlfriend happening in their lives. Endless social comparison, which is leading to so much of dissonance. So look at the baggage. So when you go into a relationship, I went to Paris and I went to wherever that you had to go, and having the time of your life. And that's when, it creates this, because it's just a fantasy, but it puts you go to sleep. How many of you go to sleep after scrolling down your Snapchat and Facebook chat or Insta? How many of you go to sleep doing that, after doing that? Is that often your bedtime story before you go to sleep? Yes or no? Just raise your hands. How many of you go to sleep with just looking at it? You also get up doing that, of course. So my point is, you spend the whole night dreaming of it. It's already processed in your brain, on and on and on a loop. Everyone is having so many fun. Everybody's got a great guy or a great girlfriend in their lives. Everything is so nice. And this goes on and on and on every day. So you people, remember, you're often going into relationship with so much happening. Yes, your socialization, your training, your culture is one side. Then your thoughts are also moving into this thing of, I don't have this, so much of FOMO happening. I'm missing out on so much, great guys, great fun, great girlfriends, great blah, blah. Well, you're going into a new relationship with so many expectations, with so much missing already in your life. Okay. So here you are going into relationship because of there's so much happening. So what happens? So, you very often, people also put themselves into danger by the way they operate on social media, especially say 8 or a 12-year-old child. Sometimes it even happens to young women along the way, when you put yourself into so much of danger. Of course, I won't deny that social media is vital. It's important for our careers. I mean, you have to be there on LinkedIn, you're connecting with so many people. It's great career opportunities, all the resources that you need. You have libraries, you have banking facilities, you have so much investment opportunities. It's a whole new world if you know how to navigate it. So as an empowered woman today, education is not just cram and vomit. You're not going to become a political science honor student or a history honor student. That's not the end game. What are the skills that you need to be the best person that you can be? With so much of happening, of course, social media. I mean, if you cannot be a hermit and switch off your social media and say, this is how I'm going to live, it's not feasible. It's not going to be practical anymore. It is challenging, but then your navigation is the path. Now the spotlight. Now I'm coming into the next part. You're often going into a relationship with so much happening on the media. Now the spotlight definitely is going to be coming back to you. Now you have to, before I just proceed, I just want to know how much of time. It's 12:10, and how much longer can I continue?
Yeah, can you sum up in 5 minutes, Gayatri, if that is okay?
Right. So yeah, I'll try. Can you give me 10?
Sure, please. Yeah,
okay.
Please.
So I'll try. So I'm just coming back. So coming back to you, you can become empowered if you become more vigilant. And I'm just going to leave you with some takeaways for you to think about and work upon, for you to be the best possible person in any relationship and to flourish and thrive, as in the future. So on that note, I'm just sharing something with you, which I would like to show you. Okay, so the road ahead. What do we need to do in the road ahead? That we need to look at ourselves. So if you are educated, you're going to be able to do some kind of critical analysis. What is the plus and minus in my life? What do I need to learn? And that's what I'm going to try to tell you. So you have to learn to make certain decisions. So what are the consequences of my actions? So you're not that 12-year-old child. All of you are 20 plus, right now? You're all young adults. You have to have that critical thinking in order to evaluate the future consequence of whatever action that you're going to be taking. Do you know about all the legal rights that are important for you? Do you know about your body? How many of you have checked with a gynecologist what needs to be done about contraceptives? Have you ever, I mean, do you just go by hearsay what people tell you? Have you done a fact check on your reproductive health? Have you been serious about it? You're educated, right? So you know places where you can talk about. So there's so do you know enough? When you, before you take decisions, do you know your rights? What are the legal rights? How does the laws of the land protect you? What about your body? What is important about your body? What about your reproductive health? What about your monies? I mean, how are you going to be investing it? Who are you going to be giving it? And what about this whole concept? There's so much of gender-based violence that's happening in the world around us. Okay, how are you going to tackle it? How are you even cognized or even aware of it? And so how would you, so are you aware? So once again, to solve problems, you have to take, very, very, so do you have enough facts? So what of these, be critical. What are the attitudes around? What are those norms? What is the whole impact that media, the use of the media, how is it, affecting you? That's also very important for you to be very, very vigilant and be aware of. Okay. Then next part about being navigating the road ahead in relationships is also looking at yourself. What is the kind of self-image that you have? How much of self-esteem, how much you value yourself, and can you control yourself? Whole bunch of people are going into pubs and say, oh, Lily, it doesn't matter, we'll take care of it. So where is the control? Is the control inside you, or is the control given to your friends outside? Where is your level of self-control? How do you manage your feelings? Are you always reacting, screaming, angry? How are you managing your feelings? How do you manage your stress becomes very important. Do you have proactive ways of coping with stress? Or are you just drowning yourself like Devdas, or smoking up, or vaping, or eating, or I don't know. So, where do you have, what kinds of coping do you do? How do you manage your stress? How do you bank? So resilience is how do you bounce back after any crisis? Think about the times when you've bounced back after any kind of problem in your life. Go back to it and see if you can use that in your relationships too. How do you learn to be resilient? Then, of course, the last point is your communication and interpersonal skills. So when you're navigating or negotiating with your future partners, your communication has to be very clear. You have to have it all very clearly on the board. So education is supposed to give you that clarity of thinking, the ability to solve problems, the ability to take informed decisions. And then communication comes. Then, of course, this whole bit of negotiation and refusal. So can you say no? Can you say no when someone pushes you further? Can you say no to that friend of yours? Negotiation with refusal becomes very important. Can you do that? You can navigate your future very well if you have your communication, negotiation, and refusal on track. Do you know if such a problem comes, how will you deal with it? That's very important for you to think. And of course, empathy and cooperation is something that everybody talks about. So you have to, empathy is to feel like the other person. When you're with a dear person, you think like them, your best friend, and you empathize with your pain, your struggles, your joys, your fears, everything. You feel with them at the same point, right? Similarly, you have to do that even with your partner along the way, and huge levels of cooperation become very important. So these, so when often when you're there online or using so much of social media, there is going to be gossiping. People are going to be labeling you. All these power and gender relationships that's so prevalent in our culture is going to have a ripple effect even in social media. Be very vigilant about it, be very aware of it, work on these skills, and you're just flourishing, racing to go. With that, I am stopping here, and I hope you've got some clues on how you want to navigate your future path with your career, with your relationships, and I hope you flourish and thrive in the years ahead. So now I'm opening the floor for about 5 minutes of Q&A if anybody has any. Any questions or anything? Any questions?
Come on, girls. Why aren't you asking? Come on, put something in the
Please
chat
put
box.
it, yeah, thanks, Pranita. Please put it in the chat box.
To ask ma'am questions, do that. You won't get this opportunity again and again.
You know, either I didn't talk anything, that it just flew over their heads, or it was so lucid and so simple that everybody caught on. So it's all or none, apparently. With no questions happening.
Gayatri, I think you should be very clear. It is the letter, and I think you should not give them any ideas in self-doubt, because you would be a role model. So there is no question. Question of it being anything other than lucid. It was so beautifully put, and it's so important that they hear it, because they hear it from somebody who's credible outside of their daily loop. So I am sure whatever you've told them, you've told about resilience, about vigilance, it's very, very important, because many of the problem with us, all of us, is that at the age at which we are most vulnerable, we think we are invincible.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's very important for us as concerned teachers and concerned caregivers for them, to remind them that yes, they are invincible, but they're also very vulnerable. And this formidable combination of perceived invincibility but actual vulnerability is a very, very dangerous thing for our, wonderful youngsters. So I am very glad that you found the time in your absolutely inimitable style to talk to them. And I'm sure they'll mull over it and learn a lot. But personally, thank you so much, Gayatri, for being there.
And coming from you, I think it's absolutely, I'm on cloud 9. Thank you.
There is a question. There is a question on chat. Ma'am, there is a question on chat.
Stay on cloud 9, Gayatri, you belong there.
Can you talk about how to solve the conflict between
time, Professor Madhuri?
Yeah, I think we can take about 5 to 10 minutes, because if the girls are eager to ask, I think they should be allowed to.
And second, once again, coming back.
Yeah. Second, may I just interrupt? Friends, I also want to tell you that I'm so delighted that we have a couple of students from IP College who've joined us. And welcome to all of you. We have Nitya, we have Nirmala, we have Isha, we have Anjali, and more of them. I'm so happy, Beta, you joined in, and I was observing you all were so interactive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've made our day. Now, there are a couple of questions. I leave it to you, Dr. Gayatri, if you feel you have the time.
Perhaps this is a jumbo question, actually, Shreya. Jumbo question. You're talking about interests, with our families, with our beliefs, principles. This, once again, how to do it is another workshop altogether. And I can just show you, this path ahead, and how to resolve the conflict is another huge navigation path ahead. A lot of skills. So there is, so once again, you have to be a lot of introspection that's required. And yes, you have, I'm sure each one of you has great friends, other resources along at every point, at the cognitive level, at the emotional level, at the kind of behavior that you want, that you need to choose. You have to be very, very informed and go about it with a lot of care. Conflict negotiation is an entire, resolution is another workshop in itself. So that is a jumbo question. What is right and what is disappointing? Once again, you have to, each time you have to prioritize yourself. Like Dr. Sandhu said, you're invincible with the kind of power that you have. At the same time, you're so vulnerable with so much of pressure on you at the same time. How you ace that combination, that balance, very often is a very individualistic path. So, I cannot give a one size fits all, reply to such a complicated question, because each one of us navigates quite a, labyrinthine part sometimes, an easy part for some people. Some people have it lucky, some people have it very, very arduous. So once again, these are questions which are, I think, maybe you can just put it down, Professor Madhuri, for later workshops, which you need people around for. This is the whole end, what you need to do with conflicts. What do you choose? what between us and the family. This happens again and again. So this is like food for another workshop, more sessions. And thank you very much for letting me come in today and go on and on. And thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Dr. Gayatri, is she gone? We had to give her a vote of thanks also.
I'm right here. I just thought I'll keep my mouth shut.
It's a pleasure. And before I just proceed, sorry to butt in, Dr. Harinder is also here from the IQAC team. Dr. Lukesh, I don't know if he's here or not. If you all would like to put in your observations and say something, we'd love to hear you before we go in for the formal vote of thanks. Yeah. Harinder, would you like to say something, or shall we proceed? Is Harinder here? I think there's some network issue. Anybody else? You know, we have some colleagues from political science also. I'm so happy they've joined in. Anybody would like to comment or make their observations? You're most welcome before we formally go in for the vote of thanks. It would be lovely to hear your comments or observations. Yes. शाश्वती, I think आप please sum up कर दो. IQAC team में हरिंदर संधू आप हैं क्या यहाँ पे? हरिंदर संधू हैं? आपको दिख रहे हैं हरिंदर?
Yes.
Ma'am is there. I don't know. Or either unmute her. What is the issue? Is she unmuted?
Yes, ma'am. She can unmute herself.
Okay. I think Lokesh sir is also not here. Perhaps he's left. All right, Shashwati, can you please sum up? And then after that, request Savita ma'am also to give the vote of thanks. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Dear ma'am, speaker ma'am, Professor Gayatri, I mean, before anything else, I must say that, you know, listening to you is just like sheer enjoyment. I mean, the way you have engaged with the students on this platform, I mean, it's inspiring. And, you know, as young teachers, if we are able to do what you're doing inside the classrooms as well as outside it, I think you would be successful, that I would call success. So, you know, I think theory is best explained when it is related to the lives of the people. Okay. And the way you have engaged with the students here, okay, taking things down to their personal lives, asking them questions, engaging with them, you know, I am allowed to say you've touched a nerve here also in many ways. So I'm sure students have benefited, not just the students, you know, the other audience, also the teachers and other people present here have benefited immensely from this session today. So, and I don't know how to sum up all those things, all those words that you have said in this session. Okay, it's very difficult for me right now, but I'm very thankful to you for being here, and we look forward to more sessions with you. I would like to call in Savita ma'am here for a formal vote of thanks. Thank you so much, Professor Gayatri. Savita ma'am.
Yes. I am audible?
Yes.
नमस्कार गायत्री मैम, सबसे पहले मैं आपको नमस्कार करती हूँ क्योंकि आप मेरे ही कॉलेज से हैं, अपने कॉलेज से। मैं इसी कॉलेज से पढ़ी थी, आईपी कॉलेज से, 92 to 95 बीए, एंड 96 to 98 मैंने टॉप किया था एमए में जी। तो आईपी कॉलेज मेरा सबसे पहला प्लेटफॉर्म था आगे बढ़ने के लिए, तो बहुत अच्छा मैंने एक्सपीरियंस वहाँ से गेन किया। इंदु जैन मैडम थी, विरमानी मैडम थी, और जो MM सिंह मैम थी, उनसे हम पढ़े, आप जानते होंगे। तो मैंने उस कॉलेज में देखा है और मतलब बहुत ही अच्छा, और मैं बड़ी खुश हूँ कि आज चलो मेरे जहाँ से मैंने पढ़ाई की थी वहाँ के कॉलेज की गायत्री मैम आ रही, तो मैं जरूर पूरा सुनूंगी। तो मैंने आपका सारी स्पीच सुनी है और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा आपके विचार सुनकर, आपकी बातें सुनकर कि आपने हमारे बच्चों को बहुत अच्छी नॉलेज प्रोवाइड की है। तो मैं ऐसा समझती हूँ कि हमारे बच्चों ने सारी जो चीजें हैं मैडम से आज कैच की होंगी, ठीक है ना। तो अपनी तरफ से भी 2 शब्द मैं कहना चाहूंगी कि यूथ जो है ना, मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगी चलेगा ना, कि यूथ जो है हमारे देश का भविष्य है। अगर हम इनको नैतिक आचरण, मॉरलिटी और ये सब नहीं सिखाएंगे, अच्छा व्यवहार करना, अच्छे आचरण, अच्छे संस्कार हम इनको नहीं देंगे, तो ये बिखर जाएंगे। मतलब तो हमारा जो देश का जो भविष्य है वो गड़बड़ा जाएगा सारा। तो ये ड्यूटीज हमारे पेरेंट्स की नहीं है, हम टीचर्स लोगों की भी है कि ये ड्यूटीज कि हम सिलेबस के अलावा इन बच्चों को ऐसी ऐसी नॉलेज भी प्रोवाइड कराएं। तो ये प्लेटफॉर्म हमें बड़ा अच्छा मिला है कॉलेज की तरफ से, WDC, इसमें हम इस तरह के लेक्चर्स करवा सकते हैं। और सबसे बड़ा मैं जो थैंक्स करूंगी प्रिंसिपल मैम का, कि वो हमारे ऐसे प्रोग्राम के लिए हमें सबसे जल्दी परमिशन देती है फटाफट से। और मैं जो हमारे स्पीकर्स हैं उनका फिर से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगी, क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा ज्ञानवर्धन किया, ज्ञानवर्धन बच्चों का, रूल्स, रीति, कल्चर, कस्टम्स, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप, ये सब, इन सब चीजों के बारे में मैडम ने प्रकाश डाला, बहुत अच्छी तरह से कहा, इन सब के बारे में बताया। देखिए, मैं जो समझती हूँ अपने बारे में, कि मैं जो इन बातों के बारे में समझती हूँ कि ना तो बच्चे गलत हैं अपनी जगह और ना ही पेरेंट्स गलत हैं। कुछ हमारी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ना, वो थोड़ी सी मिसमैच हो रही है, कि हम बच्चों की फीलिंग्स नहीं समझ पाते हैं और बच्चे जो है माँ बाप की जो भावनाएं हैं उनकी थोड़ी सी फीलिंग्स को हर्ट करते हैं। अगर हम रूल के अकॉर्डिंग चलते हैं तो हमारे बच्चों की फीलिंग हर्ट होती है, और अगर हम अपने मतलब माता पिता के अकॉर्डिंग चलते हैं तो फिर जो है बच्चों की फीलिंग हर्ट हो जाती है, और अगर बच्चों के अकॉर्डिंग चलते हैं तो माता पिता। तो इसमें मैचिंग कैसे की जाए, इसमें संतुलन कैसे बनाया जाए, वो हमारी मैडम ने बहुत अच्छी तरह हमें बताया, ठीक है ना। कि हमें अपने जो हमारे माता पिता में सिर्फ गार्जियन नहीं है, वो हमारे दोस्त भी हैं। सब बच्चों को सोचना चाहिए कि हम उनके साथ कोई भी बात उनसे छिपाए ना। अगर हमारा कोई भी रिलेशन है, कोई भी बात है, तो हम उनसे जरूर बताएं, वो हमारे सबसे पहले अच्छे दोस्त होते हैं। फिर अपने गुरु से भी बताएं, वो जो हमारे टीचर्स हैं वो हमारे गुरु होते हैं, वो हमारा आदर्श होते हैं, ठीक है ना, वो हमारे मार्गदर्शक होते हैं। तो आप उनसे बताएंगे तो थोड़ा तो आपको मार्गदर्शन मिल ही जाएगा उनसे, है ना, और अच्छा ही मिलेगा, है ना। तो कई बात आप ऐसे होते हैं कि माँ बाप से कहते हुए डरते हैं ना, तो आप गुरु से दोस्ती कीजिए, अपनी टीचर से दोस्ती कीजिए, उनको सारी बात बताइए कि ऐसे ऐसे बात है, तो कोई ना कोई सॉल्यूशन जरूर निकलेगा, ठीक है ना। तो उससे ना तो सामाजिक टकराव होगा, ना झगड़े होंगे, और हमारा सॉल्यूशन भी निकल जाएगा, ठीक है बेटा। तो ये मैं आपको समझा रही हूँ बच्चों के लिए। तो हम फिर से अपने बच्चों की तरफ से, पूरे कॉलेज की तरफ से, मैडम प्रिंसिपल की तरफ से गायत्री मैम का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत वेरी वेरी थैंकफुल टू यू। और हमारे जो सीनियर कुलीग्स हैं, जैसे हरिंदर संधू मैडम, चंद्रा चटर्जी मैडम हैं, और हमारी जसपाल मैडम हैं, अपने सीनियर्स को भी मैं नमस्ते करती हूँ और बड़े उनका थैंक्स करती हूँ कि इतना समय निकालकर, क्योंकि देखिए हमारे कॉलेज की जो सबसे बड़ी बॉडी है वो IQAC, बिना उनके कोलैबोरेशन के हमारा प्रोग्राम संभव नहीं है। तो IQAC ने अपना टाइम निकाला, इतनी देर तक हमारे साथ जुड़े रहे, सारे पूरी सुनी सारा, तो उनके लिए भी मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ IQAC का भी। और अपनी जो कन्वीनर है हमारे प्रोग्राम की, प्रोफेसर माधुरी सुखीजा, वो मेरी बहुत अच्छी मित्र भी हैं, तो मैं उनको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ। और अपने जूनियर कोलीग्स हैं अपने, जो उनका भी मैं, अपने टीचर्स का, अपने कॉलेज के बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ। और बच्चों, आपसे अपेक्षा रखती हूँ कि आज जो मैडम ने आपको जो ज्ञान दिया उसको आप बटोर कर रखेंगे अपने पास, और इस तरह का ज्ञानवर्धन हम समय समय पर फिर भी करते रहेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच ऑल ऑफ यू, और मेरी WDC की टीम भी, उनको भी बहुत बहुत थैंक्स।
Thank you, Savita, and thank you to all. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.